Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about self-compassion. This is part of my series on why I love ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. Self-compassion appears in all the different processes of ACT, and I am not going to talk to you about how that works in every single process. For our purposes today, I'm going to talk about how to utilize it in one particular situation, and that is when you're really hurting or suffering and perhaps you don't have a part of your support system to lean on, and you're suffering. So wouldn't it be great if we could help ourselves with our suffering? And that is really one of the many ways that self-compassion is just so powerful and useful. So I would argue that as humans, we all suffer. Now, it may be a greater suffering, like heartbreak, or it could be something more minor, like, the words you said when you yelled at your kids or you fought a little dirty with your significant other and you're punishing yourself for it and you're really caught up in your misery. And then there's my favorite, which could be interrelated to any of these, which is the not good enough story. So having a case of the not good enoughs is a perfect time to utilize self-compassion. Self-compassion is probably the most difficult ACT process for me to learn. I did not grow up hearing about it, which I think is typical for folks in the US. And I am someone who has typically and historically been really hard on myself. So if you're like me, this may not come easily, but I am here to tell you that it is worth the work that you put in to get good at it. So let's say that we are suffering. I am feeling really low and not good about something, and I feel like I'm not good enough in some way. And there's no one for me, there's no best friend or significant other for me to lean on. So we would, at that point, bring in self-compassion. It often starts with putting a kind and gentle hand on your heart, perhaps your stomach, or some other area where you're feeling the physical discomfort or pain associated with your suffering. I tend to, no matter what's happening, put my hand on my heart and maybe my second hand on my stomach. That's a personal preference. And you're sending through touch, kindness and caring inward. And then you may also say some words out loud or in your head to yourself, like, it's okay, sweetheart. I'm here. I love you. It will be okay. Now, this was really hard for me to learn. I didn't feel I could send kindness and caring inward. It was unnatural. I almost felt creepy in my own skin. And so what I did was I pictured my 4-year-old self. When you can picture yourself as a young child, they're so helpless and vulnerable. It's much easier in my experience to send that compassion and kindness inward. And so that is how I began my self-compassion journey, was by envisioning my 4-year-old self, because of course who wouldn't want to comfort a vulnerable, innocent child? And of course that's something that we all are wired to do. Now I'm able to practice this skill without envisioning my younger self. And I cannot tell you what a difference it's made in my life. I oftentimes don't need to call that BFF because I got this, and I may not need to put the hand on my chest, or I might do it. And you'd be amazed what you can do without other people paying any attention. But it is part of ACT that is so helpful and just one of the many reasons why I love ACT. So thank you so much for listening. I'm Catherine Saxton-Thompson.